Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to answer the I am a Wargamer challenge pondered to me by the Stugmaster. Thanks for nominating me, dude. I'm going to immediately get out of the way who I'm going to tag next, and that is Holy Diver. Feisty, old Holy Diver. If you haven't watched his videos, he has fun videos. He's a very plain-spoken individual, like I try to be, so I appreciate that. So this challenge is coming to you, John. We'll see what you put up. Okay, so I guess I'll be answering some questions here. But first, cheers to the Stugmaster. Right? Cheers. I just realized you had a channel, dude, and I've certainly start watching your videos and throw as much support as I can your way. I think as an older guy, I hate to say that, but I just hit 55 this May, so 55 years on this earth, running my own business for 25 years. You learn a few things, and I'm always learning something new every day. But you know, us older guys sometimes think, oh, you know, there's just nobody coming up into the hobby in their late 20s, early 30s who are interested in historical miniature battles. And you just proved me wrong, and I'm glad you're proving me wrong. And one of the purposes of this channel has been to eventually, once I had a decent studio and some better lighting and basically a dedicated area where I could expand and do whatever I want, is to lure in young players from 40K, X-Wing, Star Wars Legion. So the philosophy that I have is I've always been interested in these things too. And Mr. Stugmaster, I started in you know, what we called in my era junior high. It's called middle school now, playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? And then when I went off to college in University of Minnesota, back then we didn't have smartphones. I had to dig out the local yellow pages and look up where some hobby shops were, because I got up there, you know, wanted to have some things to do. It obviously gets cold up there, so you're stuck inside a lot in the winter time. So I wanted to get some projects, you know, either model kits or something like that. And I stumbled onto a game store in Minneapolis, it's close to downtown, and got my old trusty old Volkswagen Bug, and went to this store. And I came in, and there was all these gaming tables, food machines. I was like, what is this, right? So I quickly discovered Warhammer 40K. What do they call it? Rogue Trader, I think it was the original book that I got, and picked up a starter box. So that's kind of where I started too, 40K, and I just was drawn to the Space Marines. They had the, you know, the point at that time, they had the pointy noses. I thought, oh my, those guys look super cool with the space packs. And then they had the Space Orcs. So yeah, so that's where I kind of got started too. But originally I was a D&D guy. I was hardcore. I made my own dungeons. Obviously we had an older guy who kind of was our DM, and then I became a DM, and I played Dungeons and Dragons a lot. You know, Friday nights, Saturday nights, we'd all get together, pop popcorn, play some rounds, you know, go through some parts of the dungeon, and then we'd go off and watch a, you know, movie at that time. We had Fritz the Night Owl, and he would have scary movies and stuff on about 11 p.m. here in the Columbus, Ohio area. So we'd do that as youngsters, and then we discovered beer and girls, and that kind of went away for a little while, right? So that's kind of how that went, and went back to college and discovered 40K, and went along and really got out of it again when I started my business. I had my firstborn son, and you know, later my daughter 3 years later. And at that time of life, you all find that that becomes your focus for a while. So I got out of it, the 40K, as my son got a little older, 8, 9, 10 years old, we had a little hobby shop. We'll have a little hobby shop here locally in town, and thought, well, let's dig out all my old 40K stuff and see if he'd be interested in playing that. And he, as soon as he saw them, and I took out my old, you know, I've got these old Games Workshop cases, and his eyes lit up, and he's like, oh, you know, and I showed him some of the older books that I had, and he, oh, I gotta have these Eldar, right? He went straight to the Eldar. So we went over to the hobby shop. We used to go in there for his Cub Scout pack, excuse me, to get rocket kits, right? To shoot rockets off with the boys. And I went in there, I had no idea. I would ever really look through it a whole lot. I would go in, get stuff for the model rockets, and I'd leave. But he did have a lot of 40K stuff in the back corner of the store, and he did have some game tables in the back. The guy didn't really run the shop that well. We didn't really do a whole lot there because, like I said, it was kind of poorly run. But I picked him up some kits, and we were off to the races. And then I went in there. It was some rainy day. I couldn't complete my work that day, and I popped in there again just to see what else he had. And that's when I discovered Flames of War. I was like, whoa, what's this? I freaking love World War II, right? And I just, it was like crack, right? It was going in there, I'd order stuff if he didn't have, I'd come in and put in like a whole sheet of orders. And that's kind of where I kind of fell away from this guy that ran this shop, because I was giving this guy hundreds and hundreds of dollars in business every month, at least. And he wouldn't call me and let me know stuff was in. It was just it was ridiculous. So it's like, you know, so I went straight to online, and he was, you know, up to what I've got over here. I'm looking at them. I've got, what's the 6 army bags of Flames of War stuff, which I still love Flames of War. I'm kind of more a battle group guy. The local guys that I play with here that I met through YouTube are mostly battle group, and I do love that rule set. It's a little bit tougher to learn, I think, than Flames of War, but I think the rules are more reflective of how battles were fought in World War II. But with that said, that's kind of how I came into YouTube. On my big screen up in my living room, and if you guys don't do this, I highly encourage you to. Don't just watch it on your smartphone and on your little laptop. You can, if you have a smart TV, you can watch YouTube on your big screen TV. And before I had this TV, my first smart TV, I had a big Sony flat screen, and Amazon has the I forget what they call it. It's basically a little module you plug into the back of a normal flat screen, and it allows you to do your Netflix, your YouTube, all that. So 6-7 years ago, maybe a little longer, I used to watch the channel. A lot of you guys probably watched at that era for a 4 or 5 year period, was Blue Table Painting, Sean Gately. And I'd get up in the mornings. I get up at 5, go to bed at 8. You may know the story if you follow my channel, being in the lawn business that I'm in. But I'd be drinking my coffee in the morning, my first cup of coffee, and I'd watch whatever video that he put up. And I got to thinking, you know what? I would like to kind of do this YouTube thing and give it a try. So if you look back, I think it's been 6 years now. I was gonna grab it to show you guys. I have it over here in my office. I still keep all my old cameras and stuff. I had that little Sony Cyber Shot, right? Because back then I didn't even have a smartphone. I still just had like I just had a flip phone, right? And at that time, well, I think it was that time, it was Nextel, right? It wasn't even Sprint yet. Remember the push to talk, right? So, you know, I had to use some kind of camera. And, you know, with 2 teenage kids and younger kids and, you know, etc., I can't just go drop $400 or $500 on a camcorder. I did have a camcorder, but it was the Super 8 tapes, right? And I'm like, you know, the digital camcorders were just coming out and stuff, so I just used my Sony Cyber Shot. I had that for taking pictures on hikes and biking trips and stuff with the kids and, you know, all that sort of thing. So that's what you do, guys. start with what you have. If you just have the smartphone, start with a smartphone, and you can upload, edit everything right from your smartphone to get started. And as you go along, just, you know, buy what you can afford. I'm a big saver and investor type guy, and I don't believe in living beyond your means, and I do not believe in buying things you can't afford. If you're not paying your electric bill on time and your rent on time, you can't go and buy expensive model kits and cameras, but I digress. So this video may run a little long, but you know, I do want to fully explain the whole background and setting the stage so that you younger guys watching this, I want to encourage you guys, hey, for just shits and giggles, why not start a little YouTube channel? So you put up a video a month, or just share what you're working on. I tell you, it helps you connect with other gamers. Now, I'm at the point where, how did my YouTube channel get me to meet other gamers? Because that's a big factor here. Even if, like Gunner, who I know from Texas, he's a great guy, young guy just like you, up and coming, settling down, he's married. I love to see this. It reminds me of, you know, when my wife and I were first together. But I connect with these guys. He's on the other side of the country, but yet we can have conversations, we make comments, he shows projects he's working on. And you know, a guy in United Kingdom, John Eagles, one of my very loyal subscribers. You know, you build these nice relationships, so don't totally discard social media. Now, what I do with social media, guys, particularly Facebook, is it's my likes, my interests. I really don't follow a lot of people, maybe a few people from high school, a few people from college, and that's about it. I don't want to get into everybody's drama, right? So, but like restaurants, places that we like to go, and I want to get the updates for, you know, is there a new menu? Is there some new exhibit at a museum? And these Facebook groups, it can be a great way to meet other gamers, but they can also be a double-edged sword. You know, you do have some jerks that get into these Facebook groups, and so that's why I started my own Facebook group. I'm like, you know what? I was sick of the forums, and I was sick of some of the Facebook groups with all the bickering and the game snobs, the gamer snobs. We'll get to them later. So basically, my YouTube channel was a way for me to express what I was working on. At that time was Flames of War, right? I showed how I built my very first board, right? I show all that in my early videos. They were garbage. They were shot in a little cyber shot, guys, and I had no editing software, right? I just pretty much used YouTube Editor at that time, which was garbage. So, but this is just how things go. You just start small, start where you're at, and as you go along, you say, you know what, I would like a little better audio. You know what, I would like to be able to edit a little bit better. And you just purchase things little by little. This was my first camcorder, this Sony Handycam. I don't know, I got it on Amazon $250, and that was my starting point, and now I'm into the whole Canon thing. The advantage to Canon camcorders, the Canon Vixia guys, is for 20 bucks you can get a nice cheap wide angle lens that screws on. This Handycam does not have an adapter for lenses. And you know, then you start buying the $20 microphones off of Amazon to get better audio, and on and on and on. But for the best bang for your buck, guys, once you want to get away from using a smartphone, you're eating up a lot of memory. You got to constantly be deleting videos off. You can't go wrong with the Canon Vixia. You can get them sometimes on Amazon for as cheap as 200 bucks, and they're like little candies. You buy one, then you buy two, then you have three, and next thing you know, like for my wife's channel, her channel, we got her an M50, and I got her some nice LED studio lights, some really good quality audio setups. Then we took this plunge into Adobe several years ago. So it just progresses like that. But meeting people on YouTube has been great, and I gotta give another shout out here to Toby Brock. He lives in Northwest Ohio, not far from me, and am looking forward to having him here at the new studio, and he's going to help show me how to play bolt action, right? And he's a tournament player, so there again, here's someone from my YouTube channel, and then he said, hey, you ought to hook up with Rob Rhodes. He does History to War Games podcast. So I've met Rob Rhodes and Jason and Alex and Scott and Zach, and we started to formulate this group some of them were bolt action players. Rob kind of morphed from bolt action to battle group. He's huge. Him and Jason are huge into battle group. That's their primary game. But he also plays like Star Wars Legions. These guys play other game systems, Saga and things like that. So that was all because of YouTube, right? So we can't crap. There's like anything in life, guys. There's pluses and minuses, and I try to be a person that says, let's look at the positives and see what we can make out of it, right? And try to ignore the negatives. I know it's hard these days. We're dealing with a lot of this crap, right? And you kind of have to learn as you go forward in life to put your blinders on and focus on what's really important, right? Your loved ones, people close to you, if you have children, if you have a spouse or a significant other, and you got to learn to really ignore the negative, right, and focus on the cool people. Focus on the people that are doing something positive, bringing something positive to the table, and enriching your life. You know, that's really what it's about. We have a short time. I could go tomorrow. You know, there's no guarantees. I could drop dead tonight. Right? There's no guarantees in life, so you have to really savor every little bit of life that you can, and that's what this hobby's all about, guys. It's about the spice of life. It's about something that you enjoy. And moving forward here with the YouTube channel, you know, at some point, maybe in the future, we'll get into more nitty-gritty kind of battle reports. I haven't really decided yet. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't want to go too super long. I could sit here and because I'm so excited about this this experiment, this YouTube thing. You know, I've followed like Casey Neistat, the RVers I follow, bicyclists I follow. It's just an ocean of potential here. I'm following this new guy. He's an older guy, 60. He tours around now for 20 years. He lives off of his motorcycle, right? And just off the wall stuff. I don't even really watch regular TV anymore, right? I certainly don't watch the news. You know, Tim Cast, he's basically a journalist. You know, it's just an ocean of possibilities out there of things and content out there. So I guess in closing, I guess there was something that was on my mind earlier I was thinking about I wanted to put in the video. Was we have to really, when we find new content creators, we really need to support them. Hit the like button, and when they can monetize. My channel's not, I don't have enough views to monetize, but like my wife's channel is monetized, and she's also an Amazon affiliate. But when you do get a video creator, watch the ads, right? It's only like, what, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, because they get money for that, and that helps support their channel. They can buy better equipment, they can get better software, you know, depending on what the content creator is creating, and encourages them to keep making content, which we can relax on our couch and our flat screen TV and watch some great content for really no cost to us other than to watching a few ads. So the other thing, that's kind of my point here. We need to support the smaller channels coming up. And I've noticed in the 6+ years I've been doing this, it's usually the big guys, the guys with a lot of subscribers, don't want to give any shout outs or help promote the small channels. The small channels tend to want the big channels to say, hey, give me a shout out. There's not a whole lot of reciprocity. It's a big word, isn't it? It's not very reciprocal, I have found. you know, guys I have given shout outs to and say, hey, go watch their content. They, you know, they never mention my channel. And then when you look, they don't even subscribe to your channel, right? So it's kind of messed up. I don't know if it's an ego thing or they don't want to be, you know, guilt by association. They don't want to promote a channel that, you know, may have maybe some occasional political content. I don't know what the hell it is, but I wish everyone would just get over it. And like I said a little earlier, this whole gamer snob thing. Oh, you know, I'm the expert on uniforms. I'm the expert on whatever it is. That needs to stop. We just need to be supportive of each other, give each other maybe little tips and things in a positive and constructive manner. But like you, Stugmaster, I see you, I'm like, that was me like 30 years ago, right? Or whatever. I'm like, I wish I could have a time machine and I could travel back. Only if I knew what I know now and I could go back to your age group. But it's all good, you know. Life is bitter and it's sweet. You got to focus on the sweet as much as possible, and focus on our great hobby here. It's like I said on other videos, it's so multifaceted, and it's a very enriching hobby. So I don't go too long here, but that's just my personality. I'm a Southerner at heart, right? I'm originally from Central Kentucky, right? So it's just my nature. But the other thing too is this whole war gaming thing. You know, people, it's war. Why do you care about war? Well, war is it's a recognition of, you know, human nature, right? There's going to always be conflict, and it's interesting as this multifaceted hobby we have. It's like a nice multifaceted gym, and one of the facets on the gym is learning about the time period. It's not just the conflict, right? And we're dealing with conflicts to this day. I mean, you're not ever going to get rid of them. It's either over greed, over land, over this. Somebody made this general mad or this king mad. There's a lot of different reasons why there's been conflict, starting with the caveman. But it's interesting to learn about how the people lived back then. All the different things that were going in on why they were fighting, right? And learning those things, because if we forget about our history, guys, there's people walking around, I don't understand why all this is going on. Well, they're not students of history, and we're hearing now that they don't even want to teach history in the schools anymore because it's racist. Guys, we're going into some really weird times here. So I applaud you younger guys who are interested in history, because that's a kind of common thread, even with, you know, the empire, right? It's good versus evil, man. 40K, all the lore, you know, the novels, this universe, just like Star Trek or Star Wars. So I do acknowledge the value of the sci-fi movement, the whole Marvel Comics thing, the DC Comics thing. I get it. It's similar in terms of conflict resolution and things, and good versus evil. But history, is real, right? That's reality. And I'm finding it's going to be nice to have a blend of both. Right? It's going to be nice to have a little fantasy element and some realism element. And like I said with American War of Independence, which I used to call Revolutionary War until I met Rob Rhodes, who corrected me on the correct terminology. That's a good starting point as an example. So right from using correct terminology for the conflict, things I've learned, that American War of Independence is deep, guys, deep. And it kind of went on for almost 20 years, right? So there's a lot there. And you know, like Stugmaster said with Napoleonics and things, it's so fascinating, and all the nuances and the personalities, and learning about the generals and their little quirks. My favorite one is the Prussian general. I can't think of his name. He came to Wellington's aid there, the old Prussian general. Maybe you guys can help me out down below. And it turns out he was a coos hound. I mean, he was chasing skirt constantly. He was like, what, 76 years old, and he was like screwing around with like 30-year-old women, 25-year-old women. I found that out, and I thought that was hilarious. But so that's it. So let's get some conversations going, guys. John, Holy Diver, start making your video, man. I want to hear about your whole background and how you got into YouTube and what your current thoughts are in the state of YouTube. And I hope you get back on Facebook soon too. So with that, without further ado, I'll turn you guys back over to the Ethernet. And please go check out Stugmaster's YouTube channel. Watch his videos. Let's get him up to where he can monetize and we can watch his ads so he can have money for more model kits. Right? Thanks again. Thanks for watching. And I hope you have a great weekend, wherever you're at in this current schedule. Ciao.